Hey guys, I'm Mike,
I'm Tim.
and this is the Board Game Rundown, and we are live from our basements because we cover games from top to bottom. I couldn't make it through a single word of that without laughing at you. You like my surprise entrance there, Tim? Ooh, the buffering has already been insufferable already so far. I'm a bit concerned, ladies and gentlemen. Um, I'm a bit concerned. Let's say hello to everybody while we're waiting on Tim, although so far I've been waiting on Tim a lot. Hey!
Dude, seriously.
What's up, Jason? Um, no, I just took my first sip, like literally a few seconds.
Pouring mine right now.
Yes.
Oof, that's a hefty pour. Oh boy.
I mean, not too hefty over here. Obviously,
still got the wild turkey.
Oh, well, I've decided to go with something new because it's Whiskey Wednesday. Oh, I've said before I don't mind cheap whiskey. I went and got some cheap whiskey. I need something, I can't always have expensive whiskey all the time. I like this stuff. So you just got to have a house bottle of Evan Williams, and you can never go wrong with Apple.
Evan Williams is fine. It's fine.
For a cheap whiskey, it's my favorite, actually.
It's a good one.
I don't think, Canadian Club, I actually don't mind even. But Canadian Club's Apple is actually a little better, but Evan Williams, I think, yeah. So Rock got wild turkey again, huh, Tim?
Hey, till this bottle's gone, man. Till the bottle's gone.
That is bold, sir. So,
doctor of journalism.
All right. Well, you better write us up a topic, which you did earlier. But why don't you go ahead and tell the folks what it is?
All right, guys. So this started off as the top 5. We were going to do top 5 celebrities, live or dead, that we would want to play a game with. And it started off as a top 5 because I'm like, man, I don't know if there's 5 celebrities that I actually want to play a game with because maybe they're jerks. Like, I don't want to sit for an hour and a half and play a game with somebody that's a jerk, So then I was trying to think, and then I started writing out my list, and I was like writing them out. And the next thing I know, I had like 10. And Mike's like, earlier when we first started talking about the list, oh, we're doing 10? I'm like, I don't think I can do 10. Then I'm like, Mike, I got 10. And he's like, I think I can do 5. 5 more. You did like 3 more? Come on, man. You talk a big game.
No, I got 10 here. I came up with 3 more like immediately. I struggled on the 9th, and then the 10th was like I was fighting my natural urge to write them down very early in the process. Sure. But we'll get to that.
Right on. Well, while we're waiting for people to get eyeballs on the channel, it looks like there's like 4 people watching right now. Do you want to get into a little bit of news first? Like what we filmed? Do you want to do that first? Or do you want to save that for after the top 10?
Go ahead and jump into it. You were there Sunday. I was not.
Yeah. So Sunday, if you are no, Rob, they can't be fictional celebrities. They gotta be no Booster Golds. Sunday we filmed it, dropped today, our top 10 pet peeves, things we hate about gamers. Oh dude, I almost had Will Ferrell on my list, but I couldn't think of what game I'd want to play with him because I'd want to play something like a party game. But yeah, I would love to have Ron Burgundy on my list.
I didn't put a single funny person or actor on my list.
Oh, I've got yeah. I'll just
several.
That. Yeah. But anyways, so we filmed that pet peeves video. It was a ton of fun. Andrew had on his full. We had you'd think Dan would be like perfect for that episode, because Dan hates everything. But Dan's like the whole list would just be like, well, when people have fun playing games, I kind of hate that. But Dan wasn't there. But we had Andrew, and Andrew is probably our most controversial team member, right?
And he was begging to be on this video, actually begging. Since Tim is buffering, I'll tell the story about how Andrew asked for his address, showed up at his front door. He was on his knees and then rung the doorbell. It's honestly the craziest thing I've ever seen anybody do just to talk about stupid thing that gamers do. None of that's actually true. Perfect timing.
But
Anyway, so Andrew was on
did,
his knees.
Andrew did kind of beg. Yeah, he did.
He did beg though.
And I'm like, dude, it's fine. Dan was like, you could do it. Like, that's cool. We've already kind of done it. We did it a long time ago. I don't mind revisiting stuff when we've done it, you know, a couple of years ago because things have changed. And we took a different approach to this list. So we kind of combined all of them, like all of our lists. We went through, but right before we filmed, we went through a bunch of things and then made out the list. And then I picked the order that we did them in. But yeah, it was awesome. We had a good time doing it. We also played Ascension Tactics. So that is Stoneblade Games, right? And I forget the other name of the company that makes it. They do the app side. I was shocked at how good that game was.
It was fun.
I really enjoyed it quite a bit. I love Ascension. Play Ascension all the time on an app, you know. And so if anybody wants a game, message me because I've got an ongoing game that I've had going for now probably over a year. Like game ends, we just start a new one and go again. But anyways, Ascension Tactics does this really nice blend of actually, yeah, Bobby Ultra Pro, you're right. But they do a really good job of integrating both this tactical aspect of it, you know, with the board and like territory control, but then the deck building part of it as well. And yeah, we all liked it quite a bit. I had a good time with it.
It was cool.
We also played and reviewed Bonsai from DV Games. And this is a game where it's like you're making this little bonsai tree. So your player board is like a pot and then a thing below that's like a tableau. And your tableau is going to let you know how many tiles you can hold. And then it's also going to determine how many tiles you can place when you cultivate. So you on your turn, you can do one of two things. You can take a card from up top and it's sort of a market that slides. So if you take a further down card, you're going to get more resources. You're going to get more tiles that you can put in your pool to later build your tree. And then the cards are going to give you like the abilities to do different things, right? And do more things more efficiently. And, so we played this light little game in under 30 minutes and it was incredible. It's a DV game. It's a new one. DV sent it to us. And yeah, it was really good. We all really liked it. Super light, very cute.
Sounds cool.
Lots of fun. Good to see you, Nix. Sorry you fell
I
asleep,
thought it was probably from watching the show. Just, you know, had it on and passed out.
I also, sorry for your Bengals, but maybe don't late hit Patrick Mahomes when he's 3 yards out of bounds. Ooh, that was rough.
Yeah, he effed around and he found out.
Yeah, I didn't have a dog in that race. I was fine if either team had won. So
I definitely I wanted the Bengals to win, but yeah, I didn't care either way.
But my wife is a Eagles fan, and since my Bears are like cellar dwellers, I have to pull for the Eagles.
She's what?
An Eagles fan. Eagles. You remember they had like such greats as Donovan McNabb and Brian Westbrook, the good one, and LaShawn McCoy.
She's not rude enough to be an Eagles fan.
They had a really good coach a couple years ago called Andy Reid.
Oh,
he was really good.
Yeah, that's right.
Super Bowl, but then Donovan McNabb was like throwing up all over the place and couldn't, you know, and he just totally
got
that his lunch taken away.
Receiver,
Terrell Owens.
Yeah, that was like riding a workout bike with his shirt off, talking to the media occasionally. Yeah, I remember those days.
Oh boy, Jason.
Oh wow.
Don Henley is my least favorite Eagle. The only person that loves Don Henley as much as nobody loves Don Henley as much as Don Henley. He's so arrogant. But go on.
I'm so mad. I'll call an audible. We'll be okay. Okay. I'm gonna have to.
Did
you forget to put somebody on your list? No, I forgot to put a musician on my list. And I told myself I was going to, and that's why I last second audibled to another sports figure. So I think we should honestly, we might just have to jump into this list, Tim, without further ado.
All right.
I think it's interesting. I mean, we can go into.
I covered everything we filmed, so I'm good, man.
That's true. This weekend. Okay, so this weekend.
Yeah. Oh,
Sam Stockton from BA Games will be in town. I know, but he'll be in town.
Yeah.
And he's going to show us their new game coming out, Forges of Ravenshire.
Yeah.
We're going to play it at least once.
Yeah.
Here in the Game Cave, from the Rundown Studios.
The remote location.
That's right.
Yeah, what's really awesome though is that not only is he coming to town with Forges of Ravenshire and he's going to show it off to us, but we're going to have a game day with him on Saturday. We're going to be playing at Mike's house. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait because there's going to be a bunch of people that I like quite a bit that will be there. And then on
because you invited them all.
Well, that's true. I did. Mike's like, I'm worried about people showing up to this thing. I'm like, I got you. Listen, I had a reputation in my early 20s where I could pack a party. If we had needed a bunch of people to show up at a party, I could get people there. I could get people there that a variety of people. Let me just say it nice. I could get a variety of people to show up, so there wasn't all just like one kind of person to show up. I could bring in other people.
Yes.
To show up.
Right.
So it was more exciting and more fun. But anyways, Sam is also on Sunday going to come into the studio. We're going to film some stuff for Forges then. And I'm waiting for him to tell us what our topic's going to be, but he's going to sit in and do a topic video with us, like a top 10 or whatever. So I can't wait. He's a great dude. If you guys haven't checked out, Cult to the Deep. If you're at Origins or Gen Con, you need to go up to them. He and his whole family, like his brothers and stuff, like are working the booth. His wife's working the booth. His sister-in-law's working the booth. They're all so sweet and so much fun. And it's hilarious because they got this really dark game and they're just some of the nicest people you could meet. So I'm really excited, Mike. I am so excited that he's coming to town and we're going to get to hang out. So
it's going to be pretty awesome.
And Jason, I think you're right. I believe that Don Henley would tell you that. Did you see it, Mike?
I did.
But okay. Are we going to our list now?
Let's get into the list. Yeah, we got filler for later. We'll be fine.
Oh, yeah. We could fill for days.
So, go ahead and start us off, Tim. This will be your number 10 of people you win a game with.
Okay, so I'm going to get this one out of the way. Mike and I had a conversation about somebody that I couldn't put on my list because he's way too competitive and it'd be just a total jerk to everybody. But then I thought about it. Make it so he's on your team. So I'm gonna play a co-op with Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Nice.
I want Michael Jordan, anybody else with a thick skin, 2 more players, I guess, and me. And we're gonna play the hardest co-op I've ever played because he will make sure we get through that game. If we play it 47 times, he's gonna make sure we beat Ghost Stories. He will make sure.
Wow.
We beat Ghost Stories.
That's true, because that game is impossible.
I know. And if anybody's going to get us through it, it's going to be Michael Jordan. Good old 23, wow. The GOAT, the greatest basketball player to ever walk the earth. And I like it. 10. First enroll with Barry Sanders. Jason, I'm digging it. The problem is Walter Payton was a better running back. I'll say it.
Ooh, wow.
All right, Mike.
Okay. This guy might be a semi-celebrity.
Hey, if he's a celebrity to you, it counts.
Because, all right,
so weird ones.
I've been in sales for 20 years. And when I got started in sales, I listened to a lot of motivational stuff and sales training seminars and like self-help, not in the, self-help for like positivity of the mind and stuff like that. And the guy to me that was the best at that was Zig Ziglar. And this was a very famous, he had several best-selling books, had a lot of very famous quotes, was a businessman, a salesperson, and then turned into a motivational speaker. He is no longer with us. He has passed. One of my favorite quotes from him is, if they like you, they will listen to you. If they trust you, they will do business with you. So Zig was just, I always felt like he was a good guy, and was not one of those salespeople that, was aggressive. He was just a good guy that knew how to work with people and build relationships with people, which I always thought was the best way to sell anyway. So the game that I would want to play with him would be a negotiation game, which is Chinatown, is what I would want to play with him. So I want to work negotiations with a master negotiator is what I want to do.
The problem is, Mike, because he was probably so likable and friendly.
Right. He'd be like, this is totally in your favor. I'm like, oh yeah, sure. I'm giving him 3 properties.
That sounds great.
And I get one back. Perfect.
Next thing you know, he pulls a Bob and beats you by 100.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Zig Ziglar, I know semi-celebrity, but really, like I said, like my first few years, like getting into sales, pretty influential for me. That's why I still to this day very much stress having a positive attitude about everything you're doing. I just think it makes all the difference in the world. So expect big things, and maybe you'll get big things as a result. So there you go. Zig Ziglar, number 10.
That's a good one. And again, I got some weird off-the-wall ones on my list, man. So nothing's off limits.
Right. That's what was cool about this list. These off-the-wall lists, which, by the way, came from our Discord. If you're not in our Discord, ask us for the channel invite, but we're always having convos in the Discord. That's where this topic came from. And I like these topics where there's a million reasons you could pick these people. So they're going to come from out of nowhere. I'm still mad I don't have a musician, but I might fix that before we get done.
I've got somebody who's known for singing sometimes on the list, but he's a triple threat, let's just say.
Uh-oh. Okay. All right. Then on to number 9.
So I'm going to save my triple threat, though, because he is an athlete. He's a singer, an actor, a comedian. But that's all just teasing you. Oh, boy, Bob. Sure you were. All right. But I'm going to go with one of my more obscure ones right now. Mike, have you ever heard of John Milius?
I don't think so.
Okay. John Milius he still is alive, but in the 70s, he was a director. He went to film school with George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, Francis Ford Coppola. He's buddies with all these guys, right? They're all buddies, good friends. John Milius, though, was a little different than those guys, though. John Milius would write he would like work on a script for somebody, right? Like, the studio wants a rewrite on The Sting, okay? John Milius is like, I'll do it, but I want $40,000, this Jeep and an assault rifle. What? Like, they would pay him in guns. Like, essentially just weird random things. He's a cigar chomping, always wore like some, kind of tinted glasses, really loud and angry, but loved by his friends. He directed Conan the Barbarian. You've heard of that movie?
Yes.
Right? There's a character in a movie that most people have seen that is directly inspired by John Milius and looks exactly like what John Milius looks like. A little movie called The Big Lebowski, and that is Walter, is based on John Milius. The way he dresses, his facial hair, his haircut, everything. They're carrying a gun in a bowling bag and just whipping it out wherever. John Milius. Also looks a lot like you, Mike.
With my glasses, yes, and I also
Yeah.
love to bowl.
Right. So John Milius, but the game I want to play with John Milius is Gore Chosen because it is just balls to the wall. Let's beat on each other, go nuts. Because that's all John
Nice.
Milius was just pure testosterone. Just a man's man. So I imagine we'd have to play this like outside somewhere so that he could fire his gun in the air when he takes a critical, damage. You know what I mean? Or if he gets a really good hit, he just wants to pop off a few rounds. Also, he's going to be chomping on a big ass cigar anyways. So yeah, we want to be outside. But yeah, he is
Nice.
crazy. So yeah, Nick's what I was
Okay.
talking about.
Wow.
I told you I had a weird one.
He's I believe, yeah, all of the rest of mine are pretty well known. I have some, I guess, deep cuts for some people ahead. So all right. So I was really big into like baseball when I was a kid. I started playing from a very young age. This is actually not an athlete. I was
Tommy
big
Lasorda?
into. I used to get. I used to. Every time somebody says his name, I laugh because I think of him falling on his back from that one foul ball that almost hit him. Yeah,
and
I
he's
always
like
think about that.
because his
Yeah.
pants are pulled up to here and he's wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wonder where his brother is. Anyway, so so I was into baseball history and the nostalgia of the game, and so because of that, there would always be this one artist, and this artist was always drawing stuff about like 30s, 40s, and 50s Americana, and a lot of that had to do with baseball because baseball was like this huge cultural thing for Americans during that time. And that's why I would love to meet and play a game with Norman Rockwell.
Rockwell? Ooh,
Yes. I've just
Don't
always
say
loved
canvas.
his.
Don't say
No.
canvas.
We're playing
Play-
telestrations.
Oh.
I want to see what he can pull off. We don't need the timer, Norman. Take your time. Take your time, buddy. You need more colors? I got you. You want to use the other pages? That's fine too. Hand it to me. I'll write whatever I want.
Well, you're gonna know which one's his every time because it's gonna say the New York Times over the top of everything.
Yeah.
Amazing artist, though.
Nice.
Artist. And yeah,
So
if baseball captures America's pastime, especially of that era, I don't know who else better encapsulates that time period as well, other than nobody like Norman Rockwell. Really, really good one.
yeah, so I've always kind of liked that photorealistic sort of art style. I just loved his paintings from the time I was a little kid. So there you go, Norman Rockwell. But we're playing telestrations.
I love it. That's so funny. That's so funny. Telestration's an amazing game, anyways.
I know. I just laugh every time I play it. I know it doesn't have like this great core rule structure, but I have fun playing that.
I don't care, man. It's a great time.
All right, number 8.
So my number 8 is the only game on my list that I have not played yet.
This is the only game on his list that he has not played yet, which is cheating. By the way, that is definitely cheating. Probably can't believe I'm allowing it. In fact, I've actually kicked Tim from the stream because it's cheating. Oh, hey Tim, what's up?
I heard everything you said. Just I'm just like Freak Show out working on the car. I hear everything saying. No, this is the only game I have that I haven't played that's on my list, but I have access to it. I got 2 different friends that own this game. If I'm gonna play, I was like thinking, okay, who am I gonna play War Room with? Okay, because War Room is the game. I want to play War Room. First, I thought, Stanley Kubrick, right? Because basically, War Room is that scene from Doctor Strangelove, right? Or not even just that scene, like a whole set piece, right? A location, in a movie from my favorite director. But I was thinking, like, I don't want to hang out with Stanley Kubrick because I think he's actually kind of a jerk, well, he was before he died. It'd be really weird. He'd keep taking his turn back because it wasn't the perfect turn. He'd have to, he'd do the same turn over 99 times, like he did to Tom Cruise crossing the street, Eyes Wide Shut. Anyways, but somebody that encapsulates that war room vibe, George C. Scott. General S. Patton. He played Patton. He's in Dr. Strangelove as the war hungry general. Give me that dude. I want his fire and his fury. And I just want to go toe to toe with the man who played all of these great generals, right? Generals, and see if I could beat him. Now I might I need Bob there too, because I need, to somebody on the other end to really be threatening and make it tough on him so that he can ignore me, because he'd have to worry about Bob, and then I could just sneak in the back and take him down. But yeah, George C. Scott. Nice. But so technically it's like Patton, but I want the George C. Scott Patton, and the George C. Scott from his character in Dr. Strangelove. But that's my 8.
Tim with all the movie related people.
Oh, dude.
I know. None of mine are movie related.
Oh, dude.
Okay. My number 8. I wanted to have, if I was going to meet somebody, this list is sort of that like age old question of like, if you could meet anybody, like who would you meet? It's kind of that. And if I could meet anybody, I would want to meet somebody like a very successful billionaire. Problem is, a lot of the billionaires are probably arrogant or they're weird. So I want to pick like a normal billionaire, or at least one that appears normal. And to me, that's Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban, I think, he seems like a cool guy.
I want to play basketball with him.
Yeah, and the fact that he did spend some time in Indiana. Here's the Indiana tie. He did go to IU for a period of time. But obviously a very successful man, part of the Forbes 400, worth multiple billions of dollars. But yeah, buying the Mavericks and then getting them a ring, which they had never had. And the fact that he's at every game, I feel like tells you that, like, if he says, I'm into this, I'm into this. Like, he's not just, I'm just buying this and we'll just see what happens. Like, he is vested in how that team does. He cares how that team does. So I feel like the same way when I've seen him talk about like businesses and stuff like that. So always kind of admired the guy. So I want to look him in the eyes and tell if he's bluffing. So we're going to play Dark Moon. I want to look a billionaire in the eyes and see if I can tell if he's bluffing. That's what I want to do.
There you go. That's your own Shark Tank for him.
You're right. Yes. Yep. I'm putting him through the Dark Tank. Yeah, baby.
I see what you did there.
All right. So there you go. That's my 8. I picked Mark Cuban. So on to number 7.
Oh, just so you know, Nix, I might have been a little shell-shocked when it happened. If you see the movie, Mike, I know you don't watch movies, but if you'd seen the movie, you would know.
Not enough.
You'd know
Not enough. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. All right, I'm going to steer away from movies now and get into literature, which is another one of your strong suits. This is the only one that I have that is like right on the nose. Jason, that's like my favorite. It's one of my favorite lines in any movie. You can't fight in here. It's the war room. It's like it's a church to him. It's so good. Anyways, this is the only one that's directly on the nose. Okay. I tried to not do this with anybody else because you could totally do this with like a ton of different celebrities and it'd be like, okay. But I want to play Mask of the Red Death with Edgar Allan Poe.
Nice.
I just want to see. I mean, he probably would be drunk because he had a problem.
Well, par for the course.
Right. I mean, it is Whiskey Wednesday, but yeah, Nick's like, that's the thing is I didn't want to play War of the Ring with Tolkien. Like, I do want to do that, but I didn't want that to be my list. But I thought, how cool would it be, even if Poe just was there and then he read Mask of the Red Death to us. It's very short. He read that and then we all played, and he could do it with like all the inflections that he intended. And then we could all play. And if he didn't want to read it, I would find like a recording of Vincent Price reading it, and that would be just as good. And we would still all have a great time. I have no idea what Poe's demeanor was, if he was nice or, other than just drunk. I won't watch that John Cusack movie where he plays Edgar Allan Poe because I just cannot imagine that any of that is watchable or any good. I know, again, Mike, you watch movies, so you knew all about that one. But anyways, yes. It's a game I really like.
I'm just trying to think about him playing Edgar Allan Poe.
What would he make of that, right? Like something that he wrote.
Yeah. Being turned into a board game because it's like a thing that he wrote, and then it was turned into a board game. And he was an author that wrote books. And that's the theme of this board game. There's multiple games, though, based on...
Yeah, well,
all right, go ahead.
He wrote short stories and poetry more than just books, Mike. But I get you. We're gonna work on your stretching for me while I froze it in carbonite.
No, that was intentionally a loop.
But yeah. So Poe, I want to play Mask of the Red Death with Poe. I think it'd be amazing.
That's a good one. That is a good one. What's the other? There's a 2-player card game. Raven.
Raven. Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know. It seems like it's inspired by the Raven.
Yeah,
Nevermore.
Yeah.
It's called Nevermore, isn't it?
Nevermore. There you go. Yes.
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah, it is. That's one I've always wanted to play.
Yeah.
All right. So number 7. I don't know if you guys knew, but I went to Purdue, and I'm a big fan. I don't know if this is. I just wanted to make sure I cleared the air. And there was a particular football player that went to Purdue 1 year before I did and is by far the most successful Purdue athlete of all time.
But George Karlaftis just went pro. How is that possible?
Yeah, and he's on a Hall of Fame trajectory is why. But nobody will ever compare to the career of a one Drew Brees. I fought putting him on this list. I didn't want to have too many football players, but you got to understand there's 2 quarterbacks that I'll always like. One other guy and Drew Brees. Drew Brees went to one other guy we'll talk about later. And Drew Brees, he went to the same school I did at the same time. I watched him play in college. I watched him shred teams. He was from Texas. Every Texas quarterback is supposed to be a 5-star recruit. Oh, he's only 5'10". He can't play in the SEC. So Purdue gets him, and he becomes incredible. One of the most accurate quarterbacks of all time, one of the most intelligent quarterbacks of all time, goes to the NFL. Still, a 2nd-round pick after destroying college numbers and Big Ten records. They're still like, oh, no, he's a 2nd-round quarterback. And then he goes on to have, I don't know, he's 3rd all-time in passing yards in the NFL. That's all. He's a great human. He's donated money Purdue. He donated a lot to New Orleans when the hurricane went through. He has a foundation that has done so much. He's an awesome human being. So I would love to meet Drew Brees. And while we're at it, let's play Container. I know shot in the dark. Why Container? One, I recently acquired it. Still really want to play my jumbo copy that I got from Tim's niece. Also, I know that Drew Brees, he didn't go to Purdue and just slough off. He was a business major. So we're going to play a game that kind of makes you simulate having a role in business. You're like working an economy with other players and then buying containers from each other for points. It's a great game. He's a great human. I will always be a huge fan of Drew Brees as a person and a football player. So There was no way I couldn't include him. I tried not to, but look around me. How could I not put Drew Brees on my list? So there you
go. He is amazing. You should be proud of that pick. Drew Brees is awesome.
There you go. Number 6.
Okay, so I'm going to get this one out of the way because my number 6 is going to be somebody that probably nobody's ever heard of. But like,
get this out of the way.
Yeah, but people in my friends group that have known me for a long time, if they're readers, I have pushed these books onto them. I discovered my dad kind of like, you missed that one earlier?
I did miss that one earlier. I must have been talking and like
I shared it. Yeah, you were two.
I'm telling you, Jason every week just like puts me, this guy, I'm telling you. I love the puns. Keep them coming. All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jim. I had to give that one the credit it deserved.
Oh, 100%. So this was an author I discovered in, I don't know, middle school, early high school. Read all of his books and then was really disappointed to find out that he like died of cancer, like, you know, not long after I discovered him. But this man used to play D&D, and you know who his in a game group with a bunch of other famous authors, and his DM, his dungeon master, was George R.R. Martin. That's not who I want to play D&D with. I want to play D&D with Roger Zelazny. Roger Zelazny is the author of a series of books called The Chronicles of Amber. You're going to hear it first. It's coming. It's being developed for TV now. It's going to be like a Netflix series by somebody who's already developed. I forget what series the person who's got it right now has already developed, or like he's developed other series very well and adapted them very well. So it's this really amazing, crazy fantasy, blah, blah, blah. And then when I learned that he played D&D, and not just played D&D, but played D&D with George R.R. Martin from like Game of Thrones fame, right? And it was all these other authors that I liked, and they were all in this same Dungeons and Dragons group. I just want to be in there. I don't have to play with them for like a whole year. Let me just die in like 1 week. Let me just play one session. Let me just sit in the room for that one session. I want to hang out with all those guys and just see what these amazing creative minds come up with, because the storytellers, right? All of the storytellers in that room, just to be a fly on the wall for that, like that's what I want to do. That's my pick. It's Roger Zelazny. Anybody wants to know about him or want to know what books I'm talking about, hit me up in the Discord. I could go for ages. I got role-playing game books based on his books. I name almost every character I play in a video game, Corwin, based on the main character on the series of those books. I freaking love them. I'm passionate about it, if you couldn't tell. All right, Mike,
Tim, and I assume you didn't pick George R.R. Martin because you were concerned about his hygiene?
Ooh, you were waiting. You've been waiting. Now I get it. I saw those wheels clicking. You froze so you wouldn't forget that joke, and you held it. You held it so tightly in your beard that for when I stopped to take a breath, you could get that one out. So yeah, you still got a little George in there. Why don't you get that out of there? That was good.
No, that was pretty cool though. I don't have anything that's like terribly creative on here. I mean, the most reading I did was in high school, and I was reading the Hardy Boys. There you go.
Hey, I like those books too. They were good.
Yeah, you know, those were fun. So okay. Well, as we know, I am a sports fan. We're back to sports again. We're still on sports. We're not back. We're still there. I'm from Indiana. I love hoops. I love playing basketball. Mike can still shoot. Watch out. Disclosure, I'm 6'3", dangerous on the court. Way out of shape, however. But that's true. I'm on a seafood diet. I see food and I eat it. So my favorite basketball player to watch right now is Tyrese Halliburton. The Pacers made this trade. They got rid of their franchise player, Domantas Sabonis, for this young 21-year-old and a point guard from the Kings, another player. Didn't know a lot about him. I knew his name, and this kid might be the best point guard in the NBA right now. He can pass like nobody I have seen before. I'm sorry, I'm gushing about a basketball player, but yes, there's just certain kids who can play the game in a way that is just so amazing to me. I haven't seen anybody pass the ball in a Pacers uniform like this since Mark Jackson, and that guy is fourth all time in assists.
Wow.
This kid leads the league in assists. He's 22, 23. He's been out for 8 games, and they've won 1 of those games since he's been out. He is incredible, a great distributor and playmaker, has an ugly release, but God, everything drops. It doesn't matter how ugly it looks. So we're going to have some fun with Tyrese. He's an emotional player. He's always got a smile on his face. He just loves the game. You can tell he just loves playing basketball. He's always laughing and smiling during the game. He gets knocked down on layup, fouled hard. He's still just laughing about it. So I want to laugh, get some intensity and some laughter going. We're playing ready, set, bet. We are going to have some fun, but the best way to have fun with ready, set, bet is with 8 players. So we're going to bring their rookie Mathurin. We're bringing Reggie Miller. We're bringing Jermaine O'Neal. We're bringing Jalen Rose. We're grabbing up Mark Jackson. And we're even getting Detlef Schrempf. And all of us Pacers, we're throwing down. That's my 8. We're playing ready, set, bet, Pacers game, baby, is what we're doing. And that would be so fun. It was funny. Reggie now, he calls game for TNT. Mark Jackson calls games for ESPN. Reggie is honestly my favorite basketball player of all time. Just the clutch, the ice in the veins that dude has in a hostile environment. Nothing will ever top. I don't know if anything will ever top that for me. It's just crazy.
The only thing I don't like about Reggie Miller is that he played at the same time as Michael Jordan, because Michael Jordan stopped Reggie Miller from getting a ring. Like directly. Reggie deserves a ring.
Well, the Malice in the Palace also very much stood in his way. Unfortunately, Ron Artest getting suspended, Jermaine O'Neal gets suspended. That was their best year. I was actually bitter towards the Pacers after that. A lot of people were. But they had some great teams.
Always hated the Pistons. That just gave me another reason to hate them so much.
Hated the Knicks too.
Oh yeah, me too. Knicks. It's funny though, we hated those teams for different reasons, because you're the Pacers guy and I'm the Bulls guy.
Well, it's funny. I mean, if you lived in this area, you were also a Michael Jordan fan. So was I. I mean, I was watching Michael Jordan. So it's just unfortunate. The Pacers only got 1 shot in the finals, and that was against Shaq and Kobe. What are you going to do? I mean, yeah. Okay. So anyway, love me some basketball. No surprise, I got some basketball players and football players on this list. Top 5 team.
All right. My number 5 is another movie one. So sorry, Mike. This is the only female on my list, and I should have more, but I didn't think about it until way later when Mike's like, "Hey, we need some representation on this list," and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And she unfortunately is gone now. But this is a woman that I was in love with as a kid. I had a crush on her as a kid. I still love her in every movie I see her in. She is one of the funniest ladies that I've ever seen on camera. Everything she has ever done, she is so hilarious. And that is Madeline Kahn. So Madeline Kahn, you may know from Blazing Saddles. You may know her from Clue, where she plays Mrs. White.
In Blazing Saddles, is she the one with the French accent?
The German girl, yeah. I'm tired.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. I was in love with her. Absolutely in love with her. She was in a ton of Mel Brooks movies. She's in Young Frankenstein. She's in a ton of stuff.
Yep. Oh,
I love her in Clue. Like, that solidified her.
I didn't see Clue. I've watched a whole bunch of Blazing Saddles, though, and Mel Brooks movies. Tim, why didn't either one of us just put Mel Brooks on our list? Oh my gosh. Dude. That would have been the movie person I would have picked. Mel Brooks.
Okay,
no movie people on mine, though.
So I could have put Mel Brooks on my list. I thought about it, but I didn't want to have too many funny people. And the funny person I chose.
I don't have any.
But, God, I would love to hang with Mel Brooks just to hear the stories. But no, Madeline Kahn, I absolutely love her. And I want to play a game that we just played recently on the show, or for the show, and just have a review come out for it. And that's 13 Clues, the deduction game where you're trying to figure out. I believe we called the video like Clue but fun. But I just want to play with her, and I want to hear her like ask for the clues in like funny ways and like give people a hard time because she could be so acerbic, like with her wit. Like she was really funny, but like she could just nail people, with stuff. And I love that kind of humor, like in my family, if somebody in my family like meets you and they don't pick on you about something, they really don't like you. If they're picking on you, they like you, right? And so like she just seems like that kind of person that just would pick on people because she actually likes them. She's going to be nice to strangers that she doesn't care about because whatever, you just be kind to people as a rule. But like when you with your friends, if you can't pick on them a little bit and give them a hard time, what's the point? So I don't play, and just to sit down at the table with Madeline Kahn, like just one of the all-time greats, a love of my life. Yeah, I just think she's amazing. And Bob gets what I'm talking about. And she was a good-looking lady. Not that matters. Yep. She was a really good-looking lady.
That's a good one. That is a good one. So my number 5 also happens to be a female.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say a basketball player. I guess it's
No, we're done with basketball players. I already named 7, so we're good.
So but she has Chrissy Everett or something, another athlete.
No. I only have one more athlete. This one is a female that has a Purdue tie and is no longer with us.
Uh-oh.
That is because it may be one of the most brave women of all time. That is Amelia Earhart. I would play Steampunk Rally Fusion with Amelia Earhart because she is in that game.
Yeah.
I actually haven't played that standalone expansion. I love Steampunk Rally. I love racing games. So what do you know? But yeah, I like the theme on that one is where you're inventors and you're just slapping parts together to see who can get to the end fastest. And she's in that game, in a game that's full of like inventors and stuff like that. But at the time that she was pronounced dead when she went on that solo flight that across the Pacific, at that time, she was on the faculty at Purdue. She was a counselor for women's careers. And she was also an advisor in the aviation department there. There's a statue of Amelia Earhart at Purdue in front of Earhart Hall, which is an all-women's dormitory. So, I mean, yeah,
which
if you want to talk about...
got to go into.
I spent a very large portion of my freshman year in there, sir, I'll have you know. And that had nothing to do with Evan Williams. No, back then it would have been Smirnoff Raspberry and probably SoCo. Anyway, yeah, true story. But so Steampunk Rally Fusion, because she's in it, Amelia Earhart, former Purdue professor, if you will. I guess Andrew is crying that Amelia Earhart is no longer with us. I mean, I'll have you know that if she was, she would be 140 years old. I just wanted to let you know that, Andrew. So it's probably a good thing she is no longer with us.
She'd be older than that, wouldn't she?
No, she was 40 when she passed away in 1937.
Okay.
But I also don't need any more comments from the sneeze warden. So
I think Andrew's just threatened by successful women is all.
That it could be that as well. I don't want him to cry about it though. So we better go ahead and move on past the women on to number 4.
All right. My number 4. Okay, so yeah, I just realized I got a lot of authors on my list because I'm a nerd. I'm a bookworm. I love movies and I love books. Those are my passions. I love sports too, but I didn't put a lot of athletes on because I was I don't know, like athletes.
I went Earhart instead.
Athletes are tough because I just don't. I don't always know their dispositions, right? Like, or like I would love to hang with Shaq, but I don't know what game I could teach Shaq. Like Happy Salmon, I feel like is the only game I could teach Shaq. Like I'd be worried if I played a game with Charles Barkley and I beat him, he'd throw me through a plate glass window. That's a true thing he did do to somebody one time at a bar. I'm 5'6". If Charles Barkley wants to throw me through a window, it's gonna happen. The only thing I could do is run away as fast as I could because Charles ain't that fast. But no, I'm going with another author. I want to go with a contemporary author. Well, he's kind of not as contemporary as he used to be, but he's still very prevalent, very important. I want to play a game with Stephen King. Stephen King, I think, is hilarious. Nice. I think he's a legit nice guy, actually cares about people, and a sports fan, right? Diehard Red Sox fan. And but I don't want to play a sports game with Stephen King. I want to play My Father's Work with Stephen King.
Nice.
Yeah, because I think we could get into the storytelling of like what we're doing, right? And like really make it an immersive experience. And then plus maybe he'll just talk to me about a bunch of, like, and I could ask him a bunch of questions about stories or what he thinks about movies and things like that, because we have a lot of similar interests, right? So that's a dude that I just want to chill with, play a nice long game that's really interesting and like themed really well. And who better to play My Father's Work than with Stephen King, who I know is actually cool. Like, it's like, oh, I'd love to play a game with H.P. Lovecraft. I don't know. He's kind of a hermit and a little racist, like, I don't know what, kind of tough to play a game with a dude like that. But Stephen King, I know, is cool. That's who I want to hang out with. So that is my pick.
That's a good one. That is probably the author I have read the most of.
Sure. Maybe.
Which isn't a lot. Pet Sematary.
So you read like 3 of his books?
Well, I did read all those. The Langoliers.
Oh, Langoliers.
I did not read it.
Oh,
I still read it.
It's like 1,200 pages long, but so not for everybody. Hey, Rob, I did not put a board game designer on my list, even though I would love to play a game with Eric Lang.
Huh.
I would let Eric Lang pick.
Neither of us put a board game designer on our list. I did it number 4.
Oh, snap.
Who would you guess it would be?
Eric Lang.
It's not.
Oh, no. Knizia?
No.
Vital?
No.
Oh, am I frozen?
This is sad. No. No, you're still. I got audio. I can't believe he picked 3 designers and not one of them was the German designer who I own 12 of his games, Stefan Feld. I am insulted. I am insulted. Rob, I'm definitely on a John D. Clare kick, but Stefan Feld, still my boy. I need to play some of his newer designs. And I almost wanted to play the joke on Tim, like, hey, Tim, what game would you pick? So he'd play Bora Bora, which was my first instinct. But no, we're going to play Trajan because I want to ask that man. I want to play a game with a designer, and I want to see him, like, satisfied that, like, I'm playing his game, I'm loving it, and I'm, like, diving deep into a strategy that he built for that game, and he's seeing somebody enjoy it and dive into that strategy. No, I want to play Trajan. And then I'm going to ask that man, he's reused a lot of mechanics in games. He really likes random input, roll dice, and then do stuff with them. I want to see him do more Mancala games, like what Trajan has. The Mancala is such a cool mechanic. I've seen it in very few games, not enough. I'm aware of some others that have it. But since so many designers, especially some as prominent as him, that have made so many designs, it's had to reuse mechanics to make that many games, reuse that Mancala mechanic from Trajan. I really want to see another game that uses that from him specifically. No more of these city reprints. I got most of the old ones already in the shelves over there that you can't see on camera. Give me a new game. Give me a Mancala from Trajan and a whole new theme and all that. I would love that. But that's my favorite designer, and I'd love to play a game with him more than anything. So there you go. Yeah, Lang would have been cool. Those are definitely my two favorite, Lang and Feld. No question about that. Tim is buffering a lot longer than normal, but yeah, Feld, there's so many choices. I mean, I've got 3 of his games in the top 20. Bora Bora, Trajan, and Castles of Burgundy are all fantastic games to me. Take your pick, but I want that man to make another Mancala game so bad. It would be so cool.
So here's the thing, though, right? Is I would almost just pick, if I was going to pick a designer, it's not even like my favorite designer, but I would pick Vital Lacerda, and I'd ask him to get his most complicated game and then teach it.
Sounds like
me.
Weather Machine, right?
Because then he could teach it to me, and then I could be like, "Hey, you dummies! I learned this from the designer." You know what I mean? And I can teach everybody else.
Which you'll forget within a week, but go on.
Yeah. 5 minutes. But no, I mean, I like the pick though, man. I love the pick. Oh, you know what? Legitimately, what I would like to do if I got to play a game, let's just say with Eric Lang, okay, a designer that I just respect the hell out of, or even like Jamie, right? Stegmeyer. I would just be like, pick your favorite game. I don't care what it is. Pick your favorite game. Let's play it. If I was going to play a game with a game designer, that's what I want to do. I'm like, pick your favorite game. Let's play it.
Yeah, Five Tribes is pretty good. I have played that, but it's just so you can't plan a turn. You really just have to wait until other players go, and then there's just a million options. It's so hard to avoid AP in Five Tribes. I think it's a great game. The others I haven't.
I'm never playing that game with Spencer. I'm just telling you right now.
I really want to play Crusaders. I think it's out of print now, though. Hey, Einstein is also in Steampunk Rally, so there you go.
Oh, you
play Steampunk Rally with him.
That's your blanket. It's got everybody in it.
It does. It does. We could play it with Alexander Graham Bell. We could play it with Nikola Tesla, if you would like. They're all in there. Okay, so there you go. I picked a designer because I don't read good. All right, number 3.
Okay, so before I get into number 3, Mary Ann has asked a question, and I haven't seen her in the comments before, so thank you for commenting. And
yes,
welcome. But Mike, you're the expert here.
Yeah, I absolutely love Wonderland's War. It's got so many mechanics kind of mashed together.
What's the negative?
The negative is it has a bit of setup. There's a lot of setup. If you get the deluxe with the premium chips, that simplifies a lot of the setup, though, and that is worth it. And if you're playing a bag builder, you want that clackety-clack experience. You want that. And if you like this game, you're definitely going to want that. But I just like how, like, of all the other bag, like, compare it to Quacks, but it's like Battle Quacks. Yeah, it's a bit long. It can be long, especially at 5. I haven't played 5, and I wouldn't even suggest it. Like, 4 is the sweet spot. But 3 and 4 are definitely awesome. I've played it 2 and thoroughly enjoyed it still. 2 takes away the wager mechanic where you're wagering away from wagering the other people that are in battle, and I like that mechanic a lot, but it still plays great. I like that it's not just, we'll pull as many as you can. There's so many reasons to stop pulling from your bag. It can be quests. The quests give you so many reasons to stop pulling from your bag. Your special powers are all very unique and take even a play or two to figure out the nuances and the strategy. The negatives to me, I love the game so much. My only negatives are that it takes a bit to set up, get deluxe chips so that you have the package to flip, just open it and start it. It takes a little while to explain, but it's not hard to explain. It's easy, and it's a little long at the max player count of 5. Those are my cons. Dan and I could somewhat agree. It focuses a bit hard on quest cards, but I compare that to Lost Ruins of Arnak, where if you know you need to focus on the research track, everybody has a great time, and it's really close. If you know you need to pull a lot of quest cards in Wonderland's War, it'll be pretty close. but I think the game's great. Play time at max player count, setup, those are my cons. I love the game.
So having only played once, Mike, those are my two cons as well. It's setup, and because the teach wasn't that bad. The teach is easy. You just walk
easy.
through this
There's
section
just
of the
a
board,
lot
then you
to
walk through that section
explain.
of the board, and you're basically done.
Yeah.
But setup took a minute.
Yeah. There's a lot of pieces to this game. But again, with those deluxe chips, here's a tray and bam, set it out. There's all the chips. The setup's not hard though. It's actually pretty easy. I don't mind setting it up, probably because I love the game so much. That definitely goes into it. But I just don't have much bad to say about it. I think it's fantastic. Bob agrees with me. Jason from the board game mechanics agrees.
He loves it.
Set
It was his number
set
2
up
game
time
all
and
time.
teach. Yeah, it was number 6 for me, which of course me and Bob would be the reasons for your comment. So I don't have a lot of negatives to say. And if you get it and don't like it, it should be real easy to sell. It's already in the top 300. They're not talking about a reprint. So if you back that second edition and don't like it, it should be very easy to get rid of. Very easy. You could be one of those scalpers and move it for more than what you backed it for.
Oh, no, don't do that. That's on our pet peeve.
Yeah, don't do that, but you could.
You're right.
It's going to be easy to move. I'm already looking forward to how much I can get out of my retail copy, which just has coin capsules on it. So I'm already seeing people getting $100 out of that. It's crazy. It's crazy.
All right.
By winning battles, really? Oh. Jason, I definitely still try to win battles, but man, I had a game where I had 5 quests completed, and I beat the next player by like 30 points last time, and everybody thought quests were OP. So I mean, I still think those are newer players that were learning some of the faction strategies. They all play a little different, and I do think it takes a game or two with each faction to understand how to play them. So anyway, there you go. Wonderland's War. Good question. Thank you. Number 2.
We never did our number 3. You spent that whole time talking about number 1.
Oh my gosh. So we're still on number 3. You're right. Yeah. Now that I look down at my list, all right, we get double our money. That's great.
I was like, what are you doing?
I have no idea.
I tried to go into my number 3, and then you jumped on the.
Yeah, let's fix it.
Comment. Okay, number 3. Number 3, I'm going to play a game with a man who shaped my childhood that is not a family member. I'm going to play a game with the man who is in one of my favorite movies of all time, even if it's only for a minute, The Blues Brothers. I'm going to play a game with one of the greatest, hands down, film directors of all time. I'm going to play a game with Steven Spielberg. Nice. I don't love a lot of like newer Steven Spielberg movies, but holy crap, man. Spielberg from like, I don't know, 76 to 90, 9, whatever, when Saving Private Ryan came out. Just one of the greatest directors of all time. He's still great. I just don't dig his stuff near as much. It's hands down, everything is watchable. It's beautiful and well shot, right? Everything you want from a movie. But I want to play Fortune and Glory with Steven Spielberg. I want to play Fortune and Glory with the man who made Indiana Jones. Not George Lucas. I know George Lucas wrote it. That's fine. But George is always better when he pairs up with Spielberg, because Spielberg knows how to rein in all these amazing ideas that George Lucas has. When George Lucas is left to run amok, you get the prequels, and it's garbage. When you've got somebody that he respects in his ear saying, hey, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and these are all great ideas, but we're going to fine tune it, right? We're going to hone it down, and we're going to get Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? Like one of the greatest movies ever made. Fight me. But I want to play Fortune and Glory with Steven Spielberg, because also I do believe that man is just a legitimate, awesome dude too. Just does great things for, humanity. An amazing director. I just love him. Even if I poo-poo some of his more recent movies. I mean, he gave me Jaws. He gave me E.T., Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Indiana Jones, Crystal Skull, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade. Lots of just amazing movies. I want to hang out with Steven Spielberg. And he was in Blues Brothers for like just a minute. And you don't know, I'll tell you where he was if you're a big fan of Blues Brothers. Um, but anyways, he's just got a little cameo in it. Blink and you miss it. It's hilarious. That's mine. That's my number 3.
Okay. Wow. All right.
that.
So I don't know if I could top that. I picked a very prominent figure in American history who was actually born in Indiana, lived a little bit in Kentucky, spent a bit of his time in Illinois.
Hold on. Was this gentleman well over 6 feet tall?
He was.
Did he have a big beard?
Yes.
Was he a lawyer in Illinois?
Yes. And he also talked a little funny.
Yeah, okay. I have no idea who this is.
That is Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln. I mean, you want to talk about a prominent figure from U.S. history? That would be my pick. Also, my mom several years back went really deep into Ancestry.com. You ever have a family member do that?
Oh yeah.
My mom did, and she swears that we have ancestors that are related to Abraham Lincoln. I've got family from Kentucky and Southern Illinois. I am tall. I have excellent beard game. I've got a weird voice.
I was going to say, you do talk weird.
Right. So, and his ideas for that time frame, I just always respected. And so I want to give him a little taste of what modern politics is like. So we're going to play Watergate. Me and Abraham Lincoln are playing Watergate, which is a pretty cool little 2-player game. Yeah, abstract in a way, some spatial elements about the whole Watergate scandal. I could have played it with JFK. Would have been an equally good pick. But, if you're picking, prominent U.S. presidents from our history, usually Lincoln's going to be one of them. And as far as I know, there's some ties in my family to this man. So,
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, Mike, this is an amazing pick. I love it. But if I was going to play Watergate, I want to play with the most corrupt president in American history, and that's Richard Nixon.
Yeah, right.
Nixon. And be like, okay, Tricky Dick, what are you doing here? What are you going to do here?
Got you cornered now.
I'll be Bernstein.
This story's out already.
You be you. Let's work on this. Let's see how this goes. No, it's a great pick, though. That's a great pick. What's crazy, though, right? If you think about it, if you really think about it, and not to get like crazy political or anything, but I really feel like Lincoln would be very disappointed, with,
modern society.
Not just Watergate, right? But modern politics as well.
Yeah,
but you know what? In a weird way, not that different. He had people vying for their own special interests, right? Back then during the Civil War.
Yeah.
And some of it was not great, right? Like things that they were trying to perpetuate, not great. And so, kind of.
I know you said I should play with Nixon. Bob's saying I should play with Nixon. But Nixon's right. He'd probably cheat. And I don't want to play a game with that sniveling buffoon. I want to play a game with a man that has some character. A man that has progressive ideas like Abraham Lincoln. Go on. Yeah.
No, you're good, man. I'm off my soapbox. Abe Lincoln's an amazing pick. I love it. I'd play any game with Abraham Lincoln because he seemed like a genuinely funny and nice guy.
Always like the top 3 picks for me of like people from history I'd want to meet. So
sure. So the rest of my picks are all dirtbags because you just went with like one clean.
The same.
From
all right, then let's drop a deuce on your next pick with number 2.
Okay, Mike. I know you don't watch a ton of movies, but do you like Total Recall?
Yeah.
You ever seen Total Recall? Right.
Yeah.
You've probably never seen A Scanner Darkly, but you seen Blade Runner? You heard of Blade Runner?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. In the new one, right? This man that I want to play a game with, unfortunately, died way before his time. But he did a lot of drugs. But he wrote a lot of amazing stories. Man in the High Castle. Did you watch that show on Netflix or on Amazon Prime? It's basically if the Germans had won, if the Axis powers had won World War II, and so like the eastern half of the United States is controlled by Germany, and the western half is controlled by Japan, and it's this amazing,
Nice.
just kind of what if scenario, right? But this man, by the time he died, he'd done so many drugs. He believed the government was surveilling him. He just had lots of problems, like probably walked around with like tinfoil in his hat, like legit that conspiracy, just nuts. But that man's name was Philip K. Dick. Philip K. Dick was an amazing science fiction author. Minority Report. You heard of that movie? With Tom Cruise? Right? Like he wrote that, right? I mean, so he wrote a bunch of stuff that turned out like that has been since turned into movies. Just a great, amazing mind. If you haven't seen A Scanner Darkly, I suggest you just go watch it. It's going to blow your mind. Mike, that movie will blow your mind. You'll be like, wait, what is happening? That movie has Keanu Reeves, Woody Harrelson, Robert Downey Jr., Winona Ryder. It's got so many people in it. It's so good.
I wrote it down.
It's so good. And visually, you've seen nothing like it. I'm just going to tell you right now, visually, you've seen nothing like it. When we get done filming, YouTube, like the trailer for it, okay? You'll be like, wait, what? What is Tim telling me to watch? I'm telling you, it's great. Hey, Andrew's here. But anyways, Philip K. Dick is like one of the greatest science fiction authors of the modern era, right? I'm going after Isaac Asimov, and H.G. Wells and all these guys that really got the ball rolling. But Philip K. Dick from like the 60s and 70s, counterculture. I love counterculture. I'm a big fan of it. And this guy just was amazing. Just amazing. Yeah, Nix, Rotoscope, dude. Rotoscope. It's so beautiful. Anyways, I want to play Mind Management with Philip K. Dick. The game about paranoia and the government interference, and is the agent the good guy, right? Or is the agent the bad guy, and you're trying to stop them? Is the man the good guy? I don't know. That game is so ambiguous over like which side is actually good and which side is bad, at least without reading the comics, right? I haven't read the comics for that. But I just want to play a game like that where who's the bad guy? Are you the bad guy? It's all perspective. It's all perspective. And Philip K. Dick I think he would just love the trippiness of that game and like the art style and everything. I want to hang with that man. I want to, like, before he got way too burned out, I want to hang with that man and just pick his brain and play a crazy trippy ass game with him. So Philip K. Dick is my number two.
Okay. Wow. Well, I'm going even further back into history. We went back to the mid to late 1800s.
Okay.
Now we're going back to the 1500s. I always thought it would be cool to bring somebody from like way back in time to this day and age, just so they can see what life is like.
Just so you know, I love all three Bill and Ted movies. So you already have me. I'm in. I love Bill and Ted. So I'm already in. Please continue.
Well, George Carlin makes a cameo in at least one of those. So I should have put him on this list. In fact, I'm now mad at myself for not. No, not from Indiana. Leonardo da Vinci is not from Indiana. So I want to bring him and his genius mind and all of his crazy ideas from 1500 to the year 2023, and we're going to play modern art.
Oh.
We're going to auction for some modern paintings, and then we're going to see how the values change over 5 rounds, and whoever has the most money wins. That's what we're going to do. But no, any of those old, like him or philosophers or engineers or astronomers from like way back in the day, like I could have picked any of those and it would have been like a super cool, no matter what, just picking the brain of somebody that had none of these extra electronic devices to feed their mind. Like their mind was just whatever they could put into it and books they could read, and so it would be crazy to meet somebody with that brilliant of a mind from 500 years ago. So, who also didn't even know Indiana existed.
Right. Well, it didn't then.
Correct.
It didn't.
We had Miami natives here at the time, I would assume.
Or Potawatomi.
Yeah, those two. Okay, there you go. My deep cut from 1574.
Great pick, dude. Great pick.
All right, numero uno.
Okay, my number one is the one person that I could think of. It was the first person I thought of.
Me too.
He's still around. He's still alive. You ever see anybody just win at life? Just win at life.
Yeah, that's my number one.
This man is a golfer, famously. Really good golfer. Well, maybe. He golfs with his brothers all the time. They even had a little show about it for a little while. This man, I guess, can bowl. He can sing a little bit. Amazing actor. He's in some of my all-time favorite movies. Notoriously hard to get a hold of, though. I mean, he doesn't answer his phone. He doesn't have an agent. You call and you leave him a voicemail. And if he likes your idea, he may agree to be in your movie. He randomly shows up at people's parties. People will like run into him at a bar and be like, "Hey, Bill, you want to come hang out with me?" I'm talking about Bill Murray.
Yes.
And Bill Murray is an absolute wild card, right? You never know what that man's going to do. So the only game I could think to play with Bill Murray, and I racked my brain because Bill Murray was like the first person, also a diehard Cubs fan, right? Chicago guy. The only game I could think that would be perfect for somebody who's just aloof and crazy and you just never know what they're going to do. The only game I could think of to play with Bill Murray would be Blood on the Clock Tower. Because you just don't know. You do not know what that man is going to do. Is he lying? I don't know. Is he telling you the truth? He probably would be the demon, come out and be like, "I'm the demon," and then just deal with it.
Oh, wow.
I want to play Blood on the Clock Tower with Bill Murray and whoever the hell else was around. I don't care. I just feel like that would be so crazy because you just don't know what kind of crazy stuff that man would come up with. I mean, I can't think of anybody more of a wild card, right, than him.
Right.
And I just love the idea of playing Blood on the Clock Tower with people that will just do whatever, right? It's no fun if you're like, well, Mike only does this when he's this, and and then if he's this, he only does this. That's not actually true of you, Mike. I'm just using that as an example. Like I want to.
I always do that when I'm that.
Yeah. I did want to throw you under the bus, but I just wanted to play a game with him and a game where like just madness ensues. The only other game, and I thought of this after you had talked about it earlier, would be like Telestrations, just to see what kind of crazy crap he would draw. You know what I mean? Because I feel like he would just try to break you. You know what I mean? I just feel like he would just mess with you so bad with Telestrations. There you go, Bob. You want to play Reload with Keanu? I get it. I play anything with Keanu Reeves. He could have been on my list because he just seems like such a nice guy. I need to play a nicer game with him because I feel like that man rescues puppies. You know what I mean? Like he picks up, he takes care of dogs and, pets and animals and stuff. He's too nice to play a mean game with.
Right.
But yeah, Bill Murray, like, I just feel like Bill Murray would be so cutthroat and just crazy and do whatever. Like I would do whatever I could to keep him in the game, even if it was against my best interest, because I want that man to just keep just running with stuff. I just want to see what kind of magic he could.
Oh, yeah.
Because nobody can bullshit better than Bill Murray. I mean, just off the top of his head, left and right, just throwing curveballs. So that's my number one. It's the GOAT of life because that man's just got it figured out. He just goes through and just does whatever he wants when he wants. And he's a good golfer.
That's a pretty good pick.
I always associate him with bowling too because of Kingpin, and I love that movie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. I love that movie. Wow, that's a pretty good one. That is a pretty good one. I thought you might play that Prospero Hog Groundhog Day game with
Oh,
him.
sure.
I never heard
No,
anything that
no,
good about it though.
I gotta
So
play a good game. I gotta play a good game with them. Not
right,
just a good game. I gotta play a great game. If I'm gonna have the goat at my house playing a game, or
right.
even better, Mike, I'll do you a favor. I'll bring them over to your basement and we'll play at your house.
Yes, even better. Even better. Wow.
I'm a giver, man. I'm a giver.
Okay, so my number one. I mean, yeah, this was easily the first person I thought of. I obviously like sports,
Uh-oh.
and
Oh, is it my boy? One of a famous brothers? A
it
famous
is one of
brother?
those famous brothers.
Oh, I love this man so much. I just don't know what game I'd play with him.
He is just so awesome. Peyton Manning, of course, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time,
Love
probably
him.
the second greatest quarterback of all time. He is not only a great football player, but he is a really good human being. He owns a children's hospital in Indianapolis. He's donated so much money. And he's also hilarious. He has
He's
so much
amazing.
charisma. He is, I mean, when Monday Night Football's on, I'm watching the Manning cast. I don't even think
Only.
twice. I'm like, oh, there's no Manning cast? May not even watch Monday Night Football.
Agreed.
I love watching the Mannings. I think they're genuinely good people.
Yep.
And Peyton Manning is smart and funny. So we are going to play a sports game. It is probably my current favorite sports game. I will go download the Brickyard map, and we will play Heat Pedal to the Metal, baby. We're going to play on that track in Speedway, Indiana, where they run the Indy 500.
Now, be ready, though, Mike, because any real athlete, and Peyton's like this, he's way nicer than MJ. MJ, famously an asshole, right? But Peyton's going to be competitive. And if he can,
oh yeah,
he's going to run you into the ground. Oh, I was trying to share that too.
That's great.
I love.
Not untrue.
Okay.
Famously collapsed in playoffs many times, but I mean, he was one of the best at what he ever did. If you had Peyton on your team in the regular season, you just knew you were set. You're just like, okay, we're going to the playoffs. Who are we going to play? He was just that good, that automatic.
I hated the Colts until Peyton got there. I love the Colts every minute that Peyton was there, except for like the 4 hours of that Super Bowl. And then I went back to loving him. And then the minute he left the Colts, I went back to hating the Colts. I love Peyton Manning. I pulled for the Giants when his brother Eli was there. I loved Eli. Also fun dude. But Peyton's the GOAT. I love Peyton. He's the best.
Yeah, he's a pretty awesome dude. There's no question he'd be the first person I'd want to meet, let alone play a board game with. And I'm pretty sure he's smart enough. He'd be able to figure out a lot of these games fairly quickly. I'm not even concerned about that.
You talk about Drew Brees, right? Being a cerebral quarterback, and everything. Him and Peyton would be the first two that I would pick to be like a quarterback's coach.
Right? Yeah.
The way those guys saw the game, like no other. So you're damn right. He's going to see heat. He's going to play it once, maybe twice, and you might win. But after that, you ain't winning no more because he's going to figure it out. He's going to solve it. He is going to solve it. They're that smart.
That is accurate. I mean, there is a statue for this man in front of the house that Peyton built. So yeah, we will definitely never forget Super Bowl 41 as a result of Peyton Manning.
I will never forget Super Bowl 41 as a result of Peyton Manning.
Yeah, I mean, some teams are not blessed with the likes of Rex Grossman, an IU quarterback. Good Lord. Woo. You knew you were doomed when you had an IU quarterback at the helm. And you could have picked a Purdue quarterback, and you didn't. That was your first mistake.
Hey, we did have a Purdue quarterback on our roster.
That's what I'm saying. You had one on the roster and decided not to play him.
Yeah, because we saw the neck beard and we're like, I don't know. I don't know. I love Kyle Orton. Good dude. Game manager. So Rex Grossman, you lived and died by the Rex cannon. Kyle Orton, always was a
Yeah.
game manager, was only a game manager. In his best
Mhm.
days was a game manager.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no
But not a
question.
bad dude. Knew his role, came in, did his job. You got to respect it. Got an NFL career out of it. So good for
He
him, man.
did. He
No
did.
hate. But I watched
So
them
there
get
you,
in person. I watched Kyle Orton get trounced by Wisconsin when Purdue was ranked really high and Wisconsin was ranked really high. I was at that game. I was dating a girl at the time that was a Purdue student, and went to that game, and I was all in 100% for Purdue. That game was so exciting. I think game day was even there, and
nice.
Joe Tiller let me down. Kyle Orton let me down. They lost that game to Wisconsin. Oh, it was so disappointing. So disappointing. Mike, you might have even been at that game. That would have been like 2004, 2003, something like that. I mean,
that would have been after I left.
You never went to any games after you left?
No,
big games?
not until geez, probably at least 2009. There was a 5 or 6 year
like
stretch.
Curtis Painter or somebody like that.
No, there was a several year stretch where I didn't go to games.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, no surprise. I picked so many athletes. I mean, look at my walls. Heavily influenced by sports my entire life. And that's what I thought was interesting about this list. Tim has been influenced by books and movies.
Yeah.
So you've got directors and writers on your list.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's because I feel like it's dangerous to say this. I feel like I'm a creative guy, right? Like I lean towards that. And not to say that you leaned into the sports aspect, right? And people you respected that way, and motivational people, right? People that inspired you, right? I mean, your first one is basically like a motivational speaker. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's what he's famous for. Yeah.
And so that's great though, because I think these lists actually reveal things about our personalities, and that's not a bad thing. Because I thought your list was great. I loved it. I loved your choices. I loved your pairings. It's like matching a wine with a meal, you know?
Yeah.
Like I feel like my laziest pick, if I'm going to self-critique, would be Patton and playing War Room, right? George C. Scott famously playing these characters, military characters, and then playing War Room. I feel like that's my laziest pick, even lazier than Edgar Allan Poe and Mask of the Red Death, because at least I had creative purpose behind that. And also, I don't think I'd actually beat Patton at War Room, but I might be able to beat George C. Scott at War Room, because Patton was just one of the greatest generals ever. But anyways, it's funny. It's really interesting and really telling of our personalities and just like our influences, right? Of who we pick. And again, dude, fantastic list. I only have dirtbags on my list. Once you put Abraham Lincoln and Amelia Earhart, you got like saints on your list, and I've got like a drunk, a drug addict, a gun nut. You know what I mean? Somebody that's famously an asshole. Michael Jordan,
a billionaire, a motivational speaker.
Yeah. Now, okay. Do we want to do honorable mentions real quick? Because I got 2 honorable mentions.
Yeah, go for it. I'm feeling like not a lot of filler after our top 10.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm going to go real quick. Okay. So I had Gary Oldman and Sam Rockwell, both actors, written down on my list, but I couldn't figure out what games I'd play with them. So maybe Gary Oldman, we play like War of Whispers, because that dude is a chameleon, could blend in anywhere. And Sam Rockwell is just one of my favorite actors. Sam Rockwell is just one of my favorite actors of all time. I thought to be funny, I would play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shadows of the Past, because the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie was Sam Rockwell's very first movie. Spoiler alert. He's in it for like 30 seconds. Anyways, but Mike, I wrote this one down because you're the sports fan here. You would appreciate this reference. But how fun would it be to play Ready, Set, Bet with known gambling addict Pete Rose?
That's great.
See. And then here's nice. A reference. Here's a reference that you won't get, but I'm going to get deep in it anyways, because I left this man off of my list because nobody would have heard of him. But I would want to play Freedom, which is a game about freeing slaves, but with William Blake. So William Blake was a poet from the early 1800s he was an abolitionist, but he was an abolitionist of child labor, child slavery. He wrote some of the greatest poetry of all time, in my opinion.
Stop trying to make up for your top 10 by adding good character people.
Hold on. William Blake was a poet. He wrote my favorite poem of all time. It's called The Tiger. I could recite almost all of it word for word. But you guys might know William Blake from the either movie The Red Dragon or Manhunter. So the movie Red Dragon, Ray Fiennes plays a serial killer, and he's got this tattoo of the red dragon on his back. That is a William Blake illustration. So William Blake would write his poetry, but then he would etch it. He would use acid and etch it into these copper plates and illustrate it. And so he had like Songs of Innocence. So he'd have like he illustrated Dante's Inferno. So if you Google like Dante's Inferno and you see illustrations for it, William Blake, like hundreds of years later, had illustrated it and kind of got famous for doing that. But anyways, he was an abolitionist. And how cool would it be to play a game about like 100 years after he died, or not 100 years, I guess it'd be like 50 years, after he died, where you're freeing slaves, right? So you're doing something else. Oh God. Yeah. William Blake from IKEA. Thanks, Andrew. You're a real pal. You're a real pal. And Bob, if we were celebrities, that would count. I'd play Foundations of Rome with the cast of the Board Game Rundown because I like all those guys. I admire them. I think they're all great people. I really do. And if I was going to play games,
except that guy that doesn't check his sneezes.
Listen, Andrew went nuts on that, didn't he? That came out of nowhere. I did not see that coming. He dropped that on us live.
I mean, I guess I'm just spreading hazardous diseases every time people come into my house. That's why I couldn't get anyone to come over, Tim, for Saturday. We got a legit designer coming to my house. Everybody I invited, most of them aren't coming.
What are you gonna do?
It's because that guy just leaving those, unchecked sneezes all over the basement. It's disgusting.
Hey, I stocked the game day. We're good, man. I stocked I stacked the deck. I got, you may joke about who I brought in, but the people I'm bringing in, they're going to be good people. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have a great time gaming.
Oh, I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about how much I'm going to have to pay for all the extra sneeze guards you promised them.
Oh, no, that's Andrew. And Andrew ain't coming until after 6, so we don't have to put that up around the taco bar until after 6. So
oh, well done.
And so if you guys don't know what we're talking about, you just go watch the Pet Peeves video. Now, to be fair, Mike, did you watch that whole thing or listen to it?
I have watched the whole thing.
Okay. So just so you know, we threw Bob under the bus. We threw Spencer under the bus. I mean, like a bunch of people got thrown under the bus. We probably could have thrown Andrew under the bus when we were like, hey, don't be a dick about things. But
we didn't throw you under the bus.
A bus proof.
Wow. I think, top 10 pet peeves about Tim coming right up.
Hold on. You were in a video. What? You were in a video that was all about things that's wrong with me.
Oh,
I got my own video. I don't need the top 10.
You thought that was all the material we had?
I get my own video. I'm going to get my own part 2. It's so good. It's so good.
I remember your rebuttal was like one of your first live videos.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? It was fun.
It was. And you know what? That reminds me. I didn't bring it up earlier, but tonight is a special occasion, Tim.
Oh, is it?
Tonight is our 10th official Whiskey Wednesday.
Oh, wow. 10
it's
already?
Our 10th. We've done some other streams in between there, but this is the 10th one that was officially you and I called Whiskey Wednesday.
Mike, we are killing it, dude. Great job. Great job. This is such a good comment.
Oh, that's why I can't get it played anymore.
No,
I sneezed all over the board.
Well, it ain't that good.
Well, there's that.
No, that's amazing, dude. That's awesome. And that is a testament. Let me just say, that's a testament to Mike. Mike has helped. I did a couple of things like on my own solo that were not as good. Mike got on here and really helped pick up the ball, get it running, got the StreamYard thing going. So we've got the nice graphics and the thumbnails and everything. And yeah, Mike, the 10, you got to take all the credit for the 10.
No.
I'm here piggybacking on your efforts. So good job, man. Congratulations.
Incorrect, but thank you.
Congratulations.
I'm just the one that is willing to consistently promote the hell out of the dumb stuff that we do. So there you go. I'm the hype man. That's been established. That's my goal.
It's a team effort, brother. It's a team. It's a team effort, Mike, and I love you for it. You always will have a place in my heart just for all of the effort that you've put into not just this, but the show in general. It's so much fun. And
I appreciate
Mike,
it.
As an homage to you in our pet peeves video, I very specifically, in a very generic way, brought up an incident in our pet peeves about resellers just for you. I made
yes, yes.
That was my little tipping the cap to Mr. Mike. Because if you're going to sell a playmat to a game for more than what you could buy the game for, you're a dirtbag. I'm just saying. You're a dirtbag.
I mean, I just don't see how one neoprene is way better than another neat piece of neoprene just because it has the right shapes, colors, and numbers on it.
And on top of that, better than the game itself. I mean, literally charging. Listen, I could go out and spend $300 and get a Kickstarter deluxe version of that game. I'm not going to double the money I'm spending just to get the playmat. It's not happening. I grumble when it's $30 for the playmat on the Kickstarter. I'm like, I don't need the, when it's $20, I'm like, I don't know if I need that.
I never get mats, and honestly, it's because of my table. I just don't feel like I need them. I never get them.
Well, spoiler alert, you don't. You don't need them.
No, you don't.
Even like for those who don't know, Mike's got a fantastic game table. I think he's sitting. If I am thinking correctly, he's sitting at it right now.
I am.
Mike has a fantastic game table. My in-laws, my sister and brother-in-law have a fantastic game table. Right, Pat and Julie have a great game table. Multiple great game tables, but they've got a really excellent setup.
They have all those toppers, and they're great.
Yeah, and when you have that stuff, you don't need it. You do not need the playmats because you've got a really nice neoprene. Spencer, we play on Spencer's pool table. It's great. You don't need the neoprene playmat. The game board is fine, or just using the felt, right, to pick up your cards or whatever. It's fine. It's great. Bobby's got these big, just big Magic the Gathering neoprene playmats. If you watch really old episodes of the show, which I don't recommend that you do, we were covering the old table that we used in the very old setup, very early on. Bob left a playmat. We actually had to ask him to get one that was like less cleavagey, or like tone it down, to put down. But it was sort of like a generic fantasy playmat that we would put down. And we
is it the one that's at his house now?
One of many. He's got a couple. I
mean, that one's cleavagey.
Yeah, so that was the one we stopped. We maybe used once and was like, maybe that's a little much. I believe it was like a Lady in Armor was the one we ended up using like relatively consistently. We might have even flipped it over at one point in time, so it was just black. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But
a bit less cleavagey that way.
Slightly less. But yeah, man. I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna?
Now we got severe Tim buffering, but he's saying that was the wrong mat. Bob is saying it looks like. Dang, we're getting some hardcore buffering now. Tim's rubbing his eye. There we go.
Yeah. So, anyways, if anybody's still around that is inclined, you want to pitch us a game?
Oh boy,
Mike, while we're waiting.
I mean, yeah, I do like one. Okay. I would do one.
I know you seem like you're a little tired. You're a little tired.
I might be. I don't know. Maybe a little.
Dude.
Maybe.
So, well, first, let me just say, Wednesdays doing this show with you guys, and I say you guys, right? It's not just Mike. It's everybody. It's everybody in the chat too. Is like a highlight of my week. I'm looking forward to it. Like on Mondays, I'm like,
Yeah.
when's it going to be Wednesday? And on Tuesdays, I'm like, it's not Wednesday yet. And then on Wednesdays, I'm like, yes. And then on Thursdays, I'm like, I got to wait like a whole week now. It sucks. Um, I look forward to all of this so much.
I I'm the same way. I legitimately I mean, I like my Wednesday anyway. It is my longest day at work, but it's still auction day, which is still fun. And then like when I get to the afternoon, like I'm just like all excited about streaming. I really am. But
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes it's I'm a little mentally drained more than others on some days because it is just talk constantly talking to different people, negotiating all day long.
Which is why
But
you love negotiation games.
well,
Okay,
it
here's a
might
game
be.
idea: feeding all the children in the world with your leftovers. Okay, Andrew.
How big of a feast are we having? How many people died so that we can feed everybody in the world? Um, wow. I usually let Tim go first on these. Wow. I usually let. Well, he's back. Can I
I'm back.
defer? Am I able to
You want
defer?
me to go first? Okay, I'll go first real
Wow.
quick. I'll go first real quick.
Sure.
I'm gonna go dark with this. Okay, you ready?
Uh-oh.
So I have this game. This was like an early game that I kickstarted, and it's really a shame that these guys never made another game because this game was a ton of fun. I could see it right over here on my shelf. It's called How to Serve Man. So this game is inspired. The title is inspired by a Twilight Zone episode where these aliens show up to Earth. Okay, and they're giving man all of this technology, all and all of these technological advancements, right? Like, oh, they're benefiting humanity so much, and the aliens have this book, that they're constantly looking at as they're talking to people and everything. So they load all these people up onto their spaceship, and then somebody figures out what this book is called, and it's called How to Serve Man. But it's not like how to help men, it is how to serve them, as in food. You're cooking them. Um, so these guys in St. Louis made this board game called How to Serve Man. It's a worker placement game where you're on an alien cooking show, where you start off with these pink meeples, which are people, and then if you boil them, they like turn brown. You get a brown meeple, and if you fry them, they turn into like a black meeple, and then if you bake them, they are a brown meeple, and if you boil them, they're a white meeple, and if you bake them, they turn into like a black meeple, and then you're using that to do like contract fulfillment, and so your worker placement, you're doing worker placement where you're going and you are going to like cook stations, right? So these would be the leftovers from like this the aliens. They're like, oh, it's almost like a Soylent Green situation, which, Mike, I know you don't watch movies. Soylent Green was a famous Charlton Heston movie from the 70s, maybe even the early 70s. And they find out like, so it's this futuristic society where everybody like eats this stuff called Soylent Green, and it's like, okay, blah blah blah, and it's just like this paste or whatever that everybody eats. And the end of the movie, Charlton Heston finds out that Soylent Green is people. It is recycled bits from people where they just process it and turn it. If you saw the really failed movie from the Wachowskis, Atlas 13 or whatever that was called, where they go into the future, one of the future segments, they find out that like things that rich people are eating actually and just end up being people. So Andrew might get this reference, and it seems like, but so what you're doing is you are an alien race and you're trying to pass off your leftovers to the poor because you still want to seem like you're good benefactors to the planet Earth. So now you are not only you've got this track, right, where it's like an awareness track, kind of like Euphoria or a game like that. And so you've got to keep that awareness track down, or also My Father's Work sort of has like that insanity track, right? Or monstrosity track where so you've got to like keep your humanity level middle, in the middle. And so you're doing things to like feed people, but you still got to seem like pretty good guys. But like, oh no, hey man, we got like this paste that's really good. It's super cheap. We're just going to give it to the poor. They can eat it. Rich people can still eat whatever they want, but here you go. And so it's like worker placement spots, right? So you could generate like a whole bunch, but you're going to risk people finding out that it's people. So you got to take other actions which aren't as good to like lower your level there, right? And so you've got to balance this running. It's going to be a worker placement game, and so you got this. You got to balance. You got to balance this. You don't want to go too much where you feed everybody and everybody's happy until they find out it's people, and then they're like, "You're a monster," and it's like, "Well, you've been eating it the whole time, so tough luck." What do you want? That's my game, Mike. Good luck. I know
Wow.
I know you're fried. I went I went way deep on a bunch of things. I threw a lot at you, so that way you don't have a good answer, and I win this round.
Wow. Okay. So my game is going to feel a little bit like Terra Mystica,
Okay.
except this is a cooperative game. So this is a game where you're placing different buildings onto the board, and where you place them determines the resource that you're producing. Ultimately, it is a building placement game, but it's also an engine building game. You're trying to produce resources cooperatively to satisfy the world hunger need each round. And the world hunger need changes each round or each year of the game. So, you may be building like more farms to produce more corn and more soybeans. You may be producing refinement plants to refine your corn into other types of food that other parts of the world are interested in eating. But it is like Terra Mystica, where different buildings give you different things, except that cooperatively we're all working together to produce a certain number of resources each round. And if we don't fulfill the world hunger need, we're actually going to lower our score at the end of the round. You play 5 rounds, everybody builds buildings, produces stuff during an income step, and however many points you've gained or lost each round, depending on fulfilling the world hunger need, determines your final score as a cooperative team.
Nice. So it's like CO2, but feed the world, feed the earth.
Yeah, CO2 mixed with Clans of Caledonia
And
meets Terra Mystica.
endangered, a little bit of endangered there too. So you got to have like a thing where you can lose the game, right? You've got to work together or you can lose.
You could lose, but it's also semi-cooperative. So one person, everybody has secret win conditions, and so if everybody is going to get points off of those secret win conditions. So makes it interesting. It determines what buildings you build and what kind of resources you're trying to produce.
See, so what we just did there was we just exposed bits of our character. Mike is an optimist. Mike is a guy who's like, no, let's do a co-op. Let's feed the hungry. And I am just this monster that's like,
F them
no,
kids.
It's aliens, and they're grinding people up into this paste and feeding them to themselves. I feel like that's pretty accurate.
Well, all right, guys, it's been fun. We better get out of here.
Does anybody else have any other ones? We're still under the 2 hour mark. I guess, Mike, I feel like we should keep it at 2 hours, right? So we get one more in. I like this guy. So Andrew had his own good version. I'm waiting for it to populate so I could share it there. So smartphone route mixed with It's a Wonderful World deck builder who can create the best company, feed the world. But
nice.
Yeah, dude, I posted this before I saw that you liked the Twilight Zone episode thing. So I think the thing is I think that both games would be a lot of fun. I think Mike is pitching a hard co-op, and I am pitching to everybody a worker placement with like a dark comedy sort of vibe to it, right? And
Something like that.
and as a fan of like games like Endangered and things like that, I'm down, right? Like I like difficult co-ops that address real world issues and themes. And but I got a black part of my soul, man, that is just that just loves the darkest comedy that you could put out there. So that's a good deal. Okay. Okay, so we got to do one for our boy Rob Silver, right? We got to take care of Rob here. A war game, Rubber Duckies versus Garden Gnomes. Okay. So here's my pitch because this is the kind of app game that I like. I like tower defense games, Mike. I think they're a lot of fun. They're just a fun, like I like to, like Plants versus Zombies, games like that, right? Okay. So here's my pitch: is one team, one player. It's a 2-player game only. One player is playing as the Rubber Duckies. The other players playing as the Garden Gnomes. And so what we're doing is we got a tower defense thing going on here. I've got a player board. Okay, think what the hell is the name of that game? Kingdom Rush. Okay, so Kingdom Rush, for example, the board game. You've got spots where you go like, I'm going to place archers, or I'm going to place like a garrison of like warriors that are going to come out and fight. So what you're going to do is you're going to set up your own defenses, right? Rubber Duckies could be anything. You could put a soldier's hat, a pith helmet on a Rubber Ducky, and that's a soldier, right? You could put like a sniper scope over a different Rubber Ducky, and that's a sniper. So you got your range guys. And then Garden Gnomes, you got all your different variations of Garden Gnomes. So what you could go one of two ways with this. You could go one where the Rubber Duckies are always on the defense, and the Garden Gnome characters are the ones coming in, right? And so as a player, if you're playing as Garden Gnomes, you're choosing what guys to send in when, right? Because the timing of it is important. Because if I send in guys that can occupy those sniper towers and they've got a lot of health, right? And then I can send the faster guys in behind them, right? So they can snake in, right? And they're going to get further in. They're going to knock down some of those towers. So they're going to beat down that defense. And then later on, I can play other things that are going to come through easier and they're going to do more damage to your main tower. So you could do it that way where it's just 1v1, one role is one thing and the other role is the other thing, right? One's defense, one is straight up attack. Or you could do where you've got to do both at the same time. So the Garden Gnomes have their own unique style of defenses. The Rubber Duckies have their own unique style of defenses. But at the same time, there's a game called Age of Towers, which is a tower defense game, which I backed, and I've never played with other people. I've only played solo. I'd love to play with other people because what you're doing is you're setting your own defenses, but at the same time, you're drawing you're going to draw chips out, and those are monsters that are going to attack your opponents. You're going to choose which opponents you apply them to. So since we only have two factions, this is a 2-player game because we have two factions. So I'm going to pick out these things that I'm going to send to attack you, but I also only have so many maybe action points. So I've got to balance like my own defenses, right, with these action points and stop what you've got coming. But at the same time, I've got to send enough stuff to keep you busy. So there's this really weird rock, paper, scissors where it's like, am I going to go heavy this time? Because if I go heavy the same time you go heavy, we might knock each other both out, right? But if I go heavy and still have a decent defense and you go heavy, well, maybe I hold your off long enough to knock you out, right? Because if we both go strong, we might knock each other out. But if we both turtle, then our defenses just get better and nobody's bringing them down, right? They're only getting better and it's only getting harder to take that person out. So you got to game your opponent in this game. You got to figure out like, is this when I thrust or is this when I parry? You know, is this when I block? And so that's one of two versions of that game that I'm throwing out there that I'm pitching to you. So
wow.
The problem, Mike, is you let me go first every time. I know this gives you time to like think of stuff, but I feel like it potentially puts you at a disadvantage sometimes because if I hit it out of the park, like I did just with the last two games, It makes it very difficult. It makes it
Oh.
very difficult for you to come up with something. And now that's just a little trash talking because Mike and I both like sports and we're competitive guys. We like to win. So I'm gonna play the head game too and
Okay.
get Mike's head because I know he's tired. He's weak.
Wow.
I'm gonna strike now. I'm gonna strike now.
You
I'm hitting that
gotta
wounded. I'm hitting
you
that
gotta
wounded
attack
gazelle.
while I'm at my weakest. Wow.
Exactly.
Whew. Okay. Well, I mean my idea may sound my idea may sound similar to Tim's, but it's definitely not. I mean, he mentioned a tower defense. And while there is a little bit of tower defense in a MOBA game, he didn't mention anything about bag building, which is what my game's going to be. My game will be the
Oh.
first ever MOBA bag builder. That's right. You're either picking the rubber duckies or you're the garden gnomes. You see, you're going across the map and you're charging towards each other, and eventually you're going to start killing each other. But before you do that, there's these random spawns on the map. You kill those, you get XP. And every time you get XP, that gives you the opportunity to buy new chips to add to your bag. And so you're leveling up on these little kind of spawns, and you're not touching each other. But then you're going to start building defenses like turrets that will automatically shoot at the duckies if they get within a certain range. And so you're just slowly working your way towards each other. Then you get adjacent to each other, and then a battle starts. Well, see, you're also working up this power track, which very much like Scythe is something you apply towards battle. But with power, there's kind of a risk and reward with it. You see, the more you put in your power, so you've activated a battle. Each player is going to secretly decide how much power they're going to use during that turn. The more power you use, the more chips you may draw. Okay, so that may help you win the battle. Except every chip also has a casualty number at the bottom of it. So not only is your battle strength, and it's going to help you win a battle, which wipes the other player off the map, each one of those is going to cause you to also lose players. So there's this interesting battle of leveling up off the spawns and then deciding when to attack, but building up your defenses, buying more chips for your bag, which allows you to buy even more turrets and defenses. And you go until somebody hits a certain number of victory points. Every time you successfully win a battle against the other player, that is a victory point. So it's first to 10 battles won would be my in-game mechanic there. But it's a MOBA of beating up spawns and using that experience to level up your bag as well and create the best war machine out of your bag. Okay, I feel like what I did there was I combined Kemet with Wonderland's War. Mm-hmm. And what's the one I can't remember from Chip Theory Games, which is the MOBA I actually want to play? Skyforge. I can't remember what that one's called. I really want to play that one. I want to see a good MOBA in board games because I don't think it's been done.
Okay, so hold on. I'm going to pitch a combination here, Mike. So here's what you do: you are bag building. I love that aspect of it, right? It's almost like Wonderland's War, where you're going to buy these chips and you're going to put them in your bag. But these chips, they're not utilitarian. They're multi-use. You can use the chip either as a defense or as an attack. And so you are so there's the gamble, right? There's your push your luck, because it's like, well, if I throw these in as an attack instead of defending, I'm going to have better attack. I'm going to have a better chance of winning the battle. But if you're also attacking at the same time, then boop, we're like both of our things move down, right? Like, in the same way. So I think our territories are represented by these tracks. And if one of these tracks gets all the way over, or you get like so far over on somebody else's track, almost like a Seven Wonders or Seven Wonders Duel. I don't remember which one exactly does that with the combat track, where you can keep pushing over. And so you're drawing these chips.
Cloudspire. Thank you.
I haven't played Cloudspire, but
me either.
But when you win a battle, whether you're defending or attacking, you push that track back towards the middle, right? So, Mike, I really think this is one where we combine our ideas and we make the perfect and best game ever made. And then we are independently wealthy for the rest of our lives. I
So
mean,
you're saying your idea that you came up with earlier was not the best idea ever, and in fact, combining our ideas would be the best idea ever?
listen, when you can come up with the best idea ever in 30 seconds and then you steal somebody else's ideas, take total credit for it, and then make it the ultimate game ever, like even better than the best game ever, then yeah, that's what we got.
I mean, if we're talking about stealing ideas, I mean, I thought I mentioned Alexander Graham Bell much earlier. So, uh,
yeah, total. That is a dude I would never play a board game with because that MFer would cheat like hell. If anybody stole anything that he ever got, every single thing that he ever got, it's Alexander Graham Bell. I cannot wait for my kids to get to that part in history class where I can be like, wrong, wrong, wrong. Like, dude, that dude was the Hitler of the patent industry. I hate that man. I hate that man so much. I hate him.
The guy that sailed the ocean blue. Yeah, he was a savage and cut people's arms off.
Yeah, let's idolize him. No, that MFer's got to go down in flames. Well done, Mike. All right. Well, my battery is like Mike's brain power. It's getting low. It's getting,
wow.
It's
still dissing my choices.
Dude, your choices were amazing. No, it's great. We need to keep it 2 hours because I got to work in the morning. And if I keep talking, I'm going to keep drinking this, and it's going to only get more fun for me, but worse tomorrow.
Yeah, 2 hours is definitely that sweet spot for us. Tim gets up early, and Wednesday is my long day. So yeah, but it's always a blast, guys. It's your comments are just hilarious, and it really makes doing this every week so much worth it every time.
So hopefully my obscure hipster picks weren't too obscure and hipster, and hopefully Mike's sports picks, appeal to the non-sports fans enough. I mean, the thing is when Mike and I do these lists, we take them very seriously and we come from the heart with them, right, Mike? I mean, you just
I actually take time and enjoy making interesting and thoughtful picks for sure. Yeah. I start well in advance.
I want to talk about the things I want to talk about. When we do these lists, it's like, well, this would be the easy thing to talk about. No, I'd rather talk about the more interesting thing, right? So, like, for example, if you've never heard of Ziegler, right, and you're like, well, wait a minute, that guy sounds really cool. I want to talk about it. Or look into it. Now you're going to look into Mike's picks and you're going to be like, oh yeah, Norman Rockwell is an amazing artist. Maybe you learned something. Maybe you already knew about him. Great. Right. Maybe some of my obscure authors and, or directors or actors, and you're going to be like, yeah, no, if we turn you on to one thing between both of our lists, great. We did our job. If we turned you on to one game from our list, we did our job. That's all we could do, and here's the thing is that Mike and I became fast friends once we got to know each other, and once we met and started hanging out, super fast friends. But we are also so different and come from different backgrounds, and we've just got different things that influence us. But that doesn't change the fact that Mike and I could sit down and play any game at any time, have a great time. We could hang out, no problem, have a great time. And that's one of the things I love about doing the show is that I know Mike's going to bring up, especially with Mike, is because I know, Mike, we've got good banner. You're going to bring up way different things than I did. We had zero crossover, right?
Right. I expected that.
But we didn't even cross over on games we play. How am I the guy talking about Blood on the Clock Tower and you don't mention it all night?
Didn't you do Ready, Set, Bet, though?
It's an honorable mention with Pete Rose. He's got a gambling problem.
Oh, that's right.
but you know what I mean? So that's one of my goals, right? Is when we do top tens or anything like that, I would just want to talk about the stuff I love, right? Mike's going to talk about the stuff he loves. And if we could provide some more information, some more background, insights into why it appeals to us, that lets us connect with you guys. And that's just something I'm excited about and just so lucky that we get to do that. Every week we get to do that with you guys. And it's an amazing feeling. And it couldn't happen without Mike. So I'm really glad Mike. Again, this is.
Aww.
I know, Mike. You're a good dude. I'm glad you're in my life.
Thanks.
What else can I say, man?
Ditto.
Yeah, it's
even though you picked a whole bunch of savages and drug addicts for your list.
I totally did. I love them. I love the dregs of society. And Mike's got to go for the Angels to compensate for his own personal life.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I'm a terrible human being.
It works out.
Who doesn't even check all his sneezes.
Oh, well. Hey, Andrew can go to hell. Not this Andrew. He's cool. But Andrew, if you watch the Pet Peeves, no, it's great. It's great. And we're not picking if we don't love you. So that's it.
It was pretty good.
That's it. Well, Mike, fantastic list, my friend. Great job tonight.
It was good. It was unique. It was
totally unique.
Yeah, nothing quite like that list ever again.
I just guarantee you, there will never ever be another board game podcast that talks about William Blake. I'm just going to call it now. They will never get mentioned on any other board game podcast, or Roger Zelazny for that matter, unless they start making other games, modern games out of his IP, which they totally could. So I'm just going to say it. This is the only place you're going to find that. You're going to find that weird stuff.
I don't know if you're going to find another board game podcast that talks about Benedict Mathurin, the Pacers' excellent rookie from Arizona, who is killing it this year. Yeah. You're not going to find that either. So it is funny. We went two totally very different directions, and that's why this list was so unique.
I love it, though. I want to talk about unique things when we do our lists. That's why I have alternates when we do our top 10s, like even in the studio. And Dan hates it because it's like, well, that's not a real top 10. It's like, no, I'd rather talk about 40 games than, 30 games, where we got a bunch of crossover. I'd rather talk about a bunch of different stuff. You gotta
watch out for those list purists.
Oh,
and those wardens of unchecked sneezes. Those people will get you.
Good Lord. They are the worst. Oh, he ain't watching anymore. Otherwise, he'd be blowing up the comments.
Dan never hopped on tonight. So
no, we lost Dan tonight. Yeah, but that's okay. Yeah. That's okay. I'm really proud of this episode. This was a good one. I'm proud of it, despite all my buffering. And had a great time.
It was very unique.
All right, Mikey, sign us off, buddy.
All right. I will. From the Board Game Rundown, I'm Mike.
I'm Tim.
We'll see you guys next week.
We sure will.
Toodles. Who says Toodles anymore? I did because it was funny.
You do now. You do.
Ugh, yuck, I'm that guy.